I barely cry, if ever. Last time I cried was this past summer when we had to put our dog down because he was sick, but before that, I can't remember when was the last time I just cried.
I didn't really let myself cry when I was younger because you get picked on for crying in school, and I already got picked on for loads of other things, so I really didn't want to lay another opportunity out there.
It's sort of like a stigma how like people aren't commonly seen crying. So I mean, I usually do it in the comfort of my home.
One of the things we know in general from this sort of broad psychological literature on emotion regulation is that suppression is quite effortful. So if we think about crying as part of the natural emotional expression process that people experience quite naturally, then holding back tears, emotional tears, can be quite effortful for many people. But for men are not typically socialized to express sadness, right? And so that we see this go over toward anger.
Through forcing myself not to cry in front of people, to look strong, I became very angry. And I just sank deeper and deeper into depression.
I don't cry because I never feel like I have a good enough reason to. We've sort of grown up with the, society's always told us that, men should be strong and not cry.
Well, society allows it, but society shapes it. I mean, children are shaped that way from the youngest of ages.
I think my dad would be happier if he cried more. Because the fact that he owns a business, it's like he's the image of like an entire company. So if people see him crying, then they're gonna have an idea of, wow, the person that's running this company is sensitive, they're not authoritative, why should I use his business? So I feel like he tries to like keep up this image to protect what's his.
I think I've seen my dad cry like maybe 3 times in my life. And every time it's really upsetting to me for some reason, like more so than if anyone else were to cry. If my mom cries, it's your mom crying, but if it's your dad crying, for some reason it's different, it's weird, and it makes people uncomfortable. It shouldn't, but it does.
I don't think there's a lot of support for this catharsis model of crying, but I do think there is probably accuracy to say that, when you let yourself experience a full range of your emotions, that's healthy, that's adaptive, that's flexible, and if crying is part of that emotional expression, then it's a very healthy pattern.
Like this past spring break when I went to San Carlos with all my friends, and we just had such an amazing time, and I remember standing in the balcony of the house we were in, looking at the ocean, looking at how beautiful everything was. Like 5 people in that group just started crying because they couldn't comprehend how things could be so beautiful at that moment. And I really, really wish I could have done that with them. It was beautiful. And it was a beautiful experience that I can only think it would have been better if I had cried with them.
I don't experience a lot of things, like powerful emotions that sort of make me feel like I want to cry, but often if I reflect on people that I've lost or something, and then all of a sudden I'll just sort of find myself crying, and I find that it feels surprisingly good.
I definitely think crying is productive. At the end of that, you're a new person. You're able to, after you've released all those emotions, you're able to grow into this person that can come to these situations in your life with a better understanding in the future.
If men are sad, they're alone and they don't show it, and sometimes they just bottle it up and not cry. And that's a bad thing. Don't do that. It kind of eats you from the inside.
Men who cry should show a better adaptation, because I think there is very clear evidence to say that, or it's evidence to base the idea that, you know, crying is the expression of part of a evolutionarily wired emotional system that, you know, its expression is, it reflects an inherent flexibility in the system and is therefore highly adaptive.
Within the last couple of years, I've finally decided that I'm okay with crying, and you know, that everyone should be, because we're built to have these mechanisms that release stress, and if we don't use them, then they destroy us from the inside. It's like, you know, everything keeps feeling like it's getting worse and worse, and things keep building up, and you're not letting yourself cry, and then finally you give in and you let go, and you know, after you laugh and you breathe and you can see more clearly. And if you think back to the person you were right before it happened, it's a different person. You know, you're looking at the phoenix of yourself. You know, you're risen from the ashes and you're better than you were before. And your wounds have healed, and you can go on. That's why I cry.